I'm going to just fiddle with my hair because it looks different in the viewfinder. I'm going to go and sort it out, come back. Probably looks no different to you, but there we are. I feel better for doing that. It's less irritating. It's still got an annoying kink, but we'll just go with it. It's really the least of my worries at this point. As you will have seen from the title, this is a bit of a tale of woe. The last week or so has been one of the worst of my life, not gonna lie. Absolutely awful. The last video you saw, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know a little bit about this because I have posted a little bit on there about what's been going on. So the last video you will have seen is my holiday video. Hope you enjoyed that, which came to a very abrupt end, as you also will have seen, with no sort of outro at the end or finishing off. And there was indeed, as I teased at the end of that, a reason for this. So we were due to fly back from Greece on the Friday after our 2-week holiday. And on the Thursday I woke up. Actually, I probably need to back up a little, don't I? Probably need to back up. Back in 2000, the COVID year, I was originally alerted to the fact via a scan that I had some gallstones. At the time, they were teeny tiny gallstones, so small that they were on the cusp of whether I needed referring to the hospital by my GP or not. And they decided that they would do. This was end of 2020, I think, no, autumn 2020, about 3 years ago, in fact, almost exactly. So since then I've had various appointments and scans, but I've never been particularly symptomatic. I've never had any issues particularly from it. The odd, very mild bout of pain, but certainly not anything like people would expect with normal gallbladder issues. The last time I had a scan was November last year, and then I had the follow-up appointment to that on the phone with my consultant in January. And again, I said that I was asymptomatic, you know, although I had very occasional mild pain issues, there was nothing untoward. And so I was placed back on what they call watch and wait. So I'm still under the consultant on his list, but no treatment needed at the time. The alternative was they took out my gallbladder anyway, just in case I ever did get problems. I didn't particularly want to do that. I chatted it through with the surgeon, and he sort of agreed with me that it was better to go back to watch and wait and just see. Although he was concerned at that time in January that I had quite a lot of thickening of the gallbladder wall, although my stones hadn't changed particularly or got much bigger, and they didn't seem to have increased in number. There was some thickening of my gallbladder wall, but as I was still sort of fairly asymptomatic, he was happy to put me back on watch and wait. He thought that would be best. Anyway, between January and May I started getting quite a lot of pain, which sort of escalated and escalated until I was in, you know, fairly regular, I would say like 70% of the time I was in pain. Not acute pain by any stretch, not at all, but nagging, chronic, ongoing sort of pain. So in May I phoned back. When you're already on the list, you're able to speak to the consultant secretary, and he said phone back and get an appointment, you know, if there's if you feel it's urgent. So I thought, I think the time has come to go on the list to have the thing removed. Anyway, I phoned the secretary. I said, could I get the appointment, you know, to go back on the list? She said, oh yes, you'll need to have an appointment. I'll put you on the list for an urgent appointment. If you haven't heard anything in a couple of weeks, call me back, because she doesn't do the appointments, different department, yada yada. So anyway, I hadn't heard anything in a couple of weeks. This was back in May, so I called her back and she said, oh yeah, the list is really long, you'll just have to wait. So I waited. Meanwhile, the pain got worse and worse. But still copable with. I wasn't like bedridden, I wasn't in a state, I was, you know, getting through everyday life, but I was aware of this nagging, ongoing, aching gallbladder pain, which wasn't great. Anyway, on with life, just carry on waiting. Went on holiday, and then, as I said, we were due to fly back on the the Friday, and on the Thursday morning I woke up and I'd had sort of increased pain over the previous week. I hadn't felt great in myself. I'd had various sort of gallbladdery symptoms and just not felt great. And I woke up on Thursday morning and I said to Ash, I don't feel like going for breakfast, I'm just going to stay in bed. So I did that, and then spent most of the morning in bed, and then it was our last full day in Greece, and I was still feeling fairly rubbish by lunchtime, but we'd sort of decided we were going to go and have lunch, and I said, I don't think I can eat anything, but I'll go with you for lunch. And we went to this nice beachfront restaurant and sat down. Ashley had some lunch. I really didn't have any appetite and wasn't feeling that great, so I didn't have anything to eat, but I sat there and I was all right. And then it came to sort of towards the end of the lunchtime, and I said, I'm just going to pop to the loo, and I stood up from the table, and as I stood up from the table I felt something pop, and the most excruciating pain, just awful, the type of pain that makes you think you're going to black out. You know, you go all clammy and everything starts swimming. It was hideous, worse than childbirth. I've always said that the worst pain I've ever had has been my wisdom teeth pain, which I said was worse than childbirth. This was 100 times worse than the wisdom teeth pain. It was, I can't explain it. It was just awful. I thought my gallbladder had ruptured. I'd obviously read up on gallbladders and what happened to them and, you know, all that sort of thing. And I thought, bloody hell, my gallbladder's ruptured. Anyway, got back to the hotel room. They got a golf buggy in the restaurant, and I managed to get onto the golf buggy and go back to the hotel room. This was maybe like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were due to leave the hotel the following morning at 9 o'clock to catch our flight home. And we were flying into Gatwick, so that meant a 3-hour flight followed by a 4.5-hour drive back down from Gatwick. So it's a long old journey. It's an all-day travelling type of thing. Got back to the hotel room about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this pain just did not let up. I was crawling round the floor in agony. It was awful. I was really frightened, and by about 6 o'clock I said to Ashley, you're going to have to call a doctor. I was worried about calling a doctor because I was concerned that I was pretty sure it was my gallbladder. I was confident it was my gallbladder. The pain was in the right area. It was the same pain that I'd had but worse. So I was fairly sure it was my gallbladder, and as I say, I thought it had ruptured. I thought the popping feeling I felt was the gallbladder rupturing, which obviously is a life-threatening thing. But half of me was scared to call the doctor because I thought they're going to want to put me in hospital, and then we'll miss our flights home, and then just, you know, the whole thing being in hospital in a different country. And but I felt so bad. I knew that I had to see the doctor. Anyway, it's a big resort. They have a doctor on call. The doctor was there within about 10 minutes. She was lovely. She agreed with me, having examined me, that it was my gallbladder. And she said, really, I'd really like to get you into hospital. However, you know, if you don't want to go, you don't want to go. And she gave me a massive, great big pain-killing injection, which did help, and also an anti-nausea injection because I'd been very sick from the pain. I hadn't eaten at that point. I don't think I'd eaten for a couple of days. So I was just, you know, sorry, too much information probably, but I was just bringing up bile. But, you know, that the pain was making me nauseous. And she gave me a whole load of different tablets to keep me going, to get me home on the journey, pain-killing tablets and anti-inflammatories and all sorts of stuff. And anti-nausea. This was great because it got me on top of the pain. I couldn't move around or do anything. I could, obviously the pain was still there, but it was more manageable. I wasn't like crawling around in agony. So anyway, I slept that night not too badly considering the amount of pain I was in. Got up early the next morning. Ashley had to pack everything. I couldn't move. I was still, you know, in agony. Bless him, he did every single bit of packing while I just sat there swaying and crying, really. And honestly, when I look back now, I don't know how I did that journey home in that amount of pain. I was just... It just feels a bit surreal, to be honest. Obviously, I was on a lot of painkillers as well. Anyway, we got home and I thought, when I get home, I'm going to feel better. And the car journey nearly killed me, the last couple of hours of the car journey. You know, having to sit still and the bumping in the car was just, oh, just awful. And I was so relieved to get home. I think we got home about 6:30 on Friday evening and I just went straight to bed. I woke up on Saturday morning feeling slightly better, not quite as bad, but as soon as I got out of bed and moved around a bit, pain came back. It was as bad as before, and I just knew in my heart of hearts something wasn't right. By Saturday lunchtime, I decided I was going to call 111, which I did. Have to say, the longest part of this whole next process was actually getting through to 111, which is about half an hour for them to actually answer the phone. 111 is the non-emergency medical hotline number in the UK for anybody overseas. So yeah, I called 111, took about half an hour to get through to a person. They go through their usual script and within about 10 questions she said, yeah, you need to be seen by someone. My system is telling me you need to be seen by someone. I'm going to get through to your local healthcare provider and somebody will call you back within 2 hours. Had a phone call back within 20 minutes asking me to go to the local hospital, which is just 5 minutes. It's a small hospital down the road. I went in there and saw an out of hours GP who examined me, listened to the story and said, yes, you need to go straight to the surgical reception unit at Torbay Hospital and they will, you know, check you over and probably admit you. So I came home. I also had, this was the worst possible timing because for anybody who doesn't know, my job is selling on eBay, or the part of my job that is not this is selling on eBay. And I had about 50 parcels due to go out when I got back from holiday. And you only have a small window to get those out in. And I had to, between coming home from the one hospital, packing a bag to go to the other hospital, I also had to get about 20 of the most overdue parcels out. So that actually helped me with that, and I then generated the labels from in hospital. So joys of self-employment, the buck stops with you, doesn't it? But yeah, so that was just something that I could have done without at that point, doubled over in pain trying to find the correct jacket that someone's purchased and pack it up, you know. Yeah, so went straight to Torbay Hospital, to the surgical reception unit. Absolutely in agony there. They gave me morphine. Within about half an hour that worked, and honestly the blessed relief for the pain at that point. They told me that they thought I was probably passing a gallstone. They felt that the pop was probably me passing a gallstone. They'd done blood tests and they got the results of those, and they said that they were very consistent with the fact that a gallstone had escaped from my gallbladder and was somewhere, possibly stuck in the tube, possibly, you know, best case scenario, I was going to pass it, and worst case scenario was it was stuck in the tube, and that wouldn't have been so good because the pain would have been ongoing. They then said they were going to admit me, and obviously this was Saturday, so skeleton staff, all that sort of thing at a hospital. I got onto the ward at about 10 o'clock that night, I think, and I spent 3 nights in hospital. Sunday morning, after my first night in hospital, the anaesthetist came to see me and said I was having an operation that day to remove my gallbladder. They were going to take it out. I got all dressed up for theatre. I sat there all day dressed up for theatre and they didn't do it. And then they decided to scan me on Monday to see where everything was at. I had the scan on Monday. And they couldn't see any sign of the stone in the tube, so they said I must have passed it. By this point my pain had levelled out, it had backed off again, I was taking less pain relief, and yeah, really it was a lot better by the time I was scanned. They then said that, I saw the doctor after that, and they said we're going to take it out, your gallbladder out on Tuesday. And there was was this Tuesday or not? I can't remember. I'm so mixed up with the days. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. They said, going to take your gallbladder out on Tuesday. You'll go on Tuesday's list. And there was a consultant doctor's strike. I can't remember if it was junior doctors as well or not. But for Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, this week. And the gallbladder nurse came around to see me, who was absolutely lovely. She said that it was actually quite good there was a strike, because it meant that what they call elective surgery, pre-planned surgery, is cancelled on those days. I was apparently more likely to get it on a strike day. Sadly, I got all dressed up for theatre again on Tuesday morning, my stockings, my gown, sat there all day, and I didn't get the operation again. So I was sent home Tuesday afternoon with loads of medication, and I'm now on something called a red list, which means that I should get I'll be called in as an outpatient for the operation sometime in the next 6 to 8 weeks, fingers crossed. So yes, that is my story of woe. How am I at the moment? I'm good, I'm feeling a lot better, feel a bit traumatised still, not gonna lie. But in myself, pain-wise, everything feels good. You can manage gallbladder to a certain extent with a low-fat diet, or that helps, I should say, rather than you can manage it. Being overweight makes you more prone to having gallbladder problems. However, the other people on my ward with gallbladder problems were all far less overweight than me, so it doesn't naturally correlate that gallbladder problems are not just the domain of us overweight people, you know. But yeah, certainly it has given me the kick up the bum for a bit of a lifestyle overhaul, I think. I'm hoping that I will get the operation. I've looked into the alternative of having it done privately to see if I can get it done sooner. It's unlikely to be sooner because interesting discussion with the private hospital actually. And can I just say, I am so aware that I am so lucky to be in a position that if I choose to, I can pay and have it done privately. That is not lost on me, how lucky I am to, it's a privilege to be in that position, absolutely. But yeah, the private hospital said to me that their lists are getting really booked up because of this sort of stealth dismantling of the NHS, and, you know, by not treating people for so long. And but people are just getting desperate and going and having their operations done privately. So really November is the earliest I could get it done privately. So I'm still sort of considering that option, because there is a very real likelihood, of course, with the NHS that I would go through the same scenario again, be called in, be told I'm going to get the operation, wait around all day and not get it. And I completely understand there are higher priority people than me who are needing the surgery, and that's why I haven't got it. Completely understand that. Absolutely no shade to the NHS or what they do or how they're managing at all. My experience was quite interesting in hospital. I'm not going to talk loads about that. It's very easy to see from that the NHS is struggling. I have to say the majority of the staff I came across, the vast majority, were delightful and caring and lovely and couldn't have been nicer. And at a time when you feel super, super vulnerable, they were empathetic, and yeah, the vast majority of people, that was a very, very positive thing that I'll take away from it. But yeah, you can kind of see that the NHS needs something, everything, but yeah. That's probably a story for another video, or perhaps not, perhaps that's not something we need to discuss here. But as you can see, I'm back, I've got my face on, I'm feeling okay, I'm, yeah, getting over the trauma of the last week, I think. Going forward on YouTube, I've got lots of stuff that's sort of overdue. I had quite a lot of brand bits and pieces that was going to go into video. It still will do, but it's all a bit overdue. So I'm feeling a little bit of pressure with YouTube, but I'm going to try and get back onto a schedule. That was my plan when I got back from holiday. I was going to get back to the Wednesday, Sunday and occasional Fridays. I'm not going to put that pressure on myself at the moment, because I obviously want to see how I feel and not do too much. but I do have quite a lot of videos that I do need to get out, and I do want to get out as well. I had quite a lot of plans for things that I wanted to talk to you about and show you, and all sorts of stuff. So videos for the next little while will be a bit ad hoc. There'll probably be a few quite close together because I'm going to put the holiday one up today. I'll probably do this one Sunday, and then I've got a couple of try-ons, and I'll just see how I feel. So if I'm a bit hit and miss, here but not here, you know that I'm all right, but I'm just getting through things. Now I am just going to end this. I'm going to turn comments off today, and I'll tell you why. As I said, I feel a little bit traumatized by my experiences. I've got other stuff going on as well in the background, some not great stuff. So I'm not really in a position. I am aware that when people tell you their stories in the comments, that there'll be a lot of gallbladder chat. That lots of people have had gallbladder issues, haven't they? Or know people with gallbladder issues. And I am aware that people with the best possible intentions want to share their stories or offer advice or that sort of thing. It's too overwhelming for me at the moment to be inundated with all of that, I'm afraid. Again, in the nicest possible way. I'm just finding I just need to remove myself a little bit. And could I also really politely ask, please don't message me with what you want to say, because I've turned the comments off. I'm not in a position, I've informed myself fully about gallbladders and lifestyle and the dangers and the situation. I've got as much information as I need. The hospital have given me loads of information. I've done my own research as well, and it just feels really overwhelming to be offered more and more and more information or told what I should do, or it's just, I know it comes from a good place, but please understand, I do know that you want to do it from a good place, but it's just a little bit overwhelming to have lots and lots of that. So can I just ask, please don't message me because I've turned the comments off and you want to tell me something about my gallbladder. I'm not in a position where I'm open to hearing that at the moment. I really hope you understand that. Thank you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my tale of woe, or just an explanation of what's been going on and where I've been, and my week from hell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.